money. And they, quote, invited investors into this to help make money. Of course, they were all over Instagram and just flashy, showing off and flossing with their amazing Lamborghinis and their private jets and showing everyone the Rolexes and how much money they made and, bragging about all of their real estate deals. So people were seeing this. They're like, oh my goodness, we would love to be invited into this. Yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. He's making money. How do I become a part of this? And of course, the Parkers invited them into the family. What they told investors was this: give us your money for down payments and rehab on Cleveland Eastside properties. So they had to have enough cash for the down payment on loans, which is going to run probably around 70 to 80% financing, okay? So they have to have like the 20 to 30% for the down payment, plus all the closing costs, plus money that they needed to do the renovations. They would run the project and they would pay on all of these bank loans and even serve as a personal guarantor on the loans. The scheme actually ran for about 6 years. It ran from January of 2027 to December of 2023. So you're just like, Kim, wow, December 2023, I wonder what caused this entire scheme to actually cave. Well, y'all remember the real estate market in 2023 was terrible. Absolutely awful. Rates had skyrocketed. We were looking at rates that were in the 8 and 9%. Y'all, I did a loan on a home at 10% in 2023. I couldn't believe it. My jaw almost hit the floor when I saw that rate. I mean, people were crying, desperate to try to get a mortgage. It was rough, okay? Sellers had properties that were just sitting on the market. And here's the thing about somebody who's going to promise you a 20% return within just a matter of months on your real estate investment, because that's what the Parkers are promising. Park your money with us. We're going to give you a return of 20% within just a few months. The only way that anybody could ever promise a return like that within just a few months. Now, I've seen 20+% returns. Yeah, I've seen them all right. I've seen them after years. I've never seen them within a few months. So that's your first red flag. But let's just say somebody does invest. The way that they're able to get those returns paid is because they actually use money from new investors and that cash inflow to make payments on the bank loans and to pay out their investors on these earlier investments. It actually feeds the system because the earlier investors get paid back. New investors come in. They're like, of course, this has to be real. There's no way that this is not real. This person got 20% back. And it only took them 3 months. This person got 20% and they only took them 4 months, 5 months. This is amazing. If it wasn't real, they wouldn't be getting paid. And therein lies the genius of the Ponzi scheme. That's how Ponzi schemes get out of control. A Ponzi scheme only works when it's at a certain size. They're very difficult to maintain when they grow beyond a certain point. But here's the Achilles heel of a Ponzi scheme. They have to grow. You have to continue to get new investors in to pay off the earlier investors. There's no way around it. You have to have more and more money rolling in order for a Ponzi to operate. Now, here's the thing. There is absolutely legitimate real estate investing where you come in as an equity partner. I do them every day. This is why it sounds legitimate. I do them every day. Here we go. Developer comes in. He says, hey, I've got a partner who's going to put $1 million into this project. He's not going to sign a loan. He doesn't want to serve as a guarantor, but he's got cash and he's going to put that cash into this project. And that person for that is going to receive a return on his investment. Usually it's structured as a percentage return of the overall profits. Sometimes it's structured as like a preferred return, meaning like they're going to get paid back like 12%, 15%, and they'll be the first one to get paid. But once they get their money back, that's it, they're done. All the rest of the money goes to the developer. Sometimes it's just structured in a number of different ways as far as like the waterfall structure for the repayment of all of the loans and the expenses and the investors. There's a very specific way that these deals are structured. Not only that, but there are certain protections that are in place for the investors. No one should ever invest money without making sure that they do their due diligence on the LLC, the JV, the whole kit and caboodle. What was happening in these with the Parkers, with Greg Big Business, okay? Greg Big Business, who was so loud and proud about his business on Instagram and on the podcast and the radio programs, touting his own success, calling himself a guru, is that what they were actually doing, because they're so smart, they were pouring all of the money into one shared LLC. That one LLC did not have any separation. You can do something in Tennessee called a series LLC, where it's like one sort of umbrella LLC, but like underneath the umbrella, there are multiple different series, and then those are separated from each other in terms of liability. However, that's not what was happening here. All the projects were completely commingled, meaning that there were no individual deals, no individual escrows, and also the properties after this Ponzi scheme fell apart, they were almost never transferred. They were never transferred back to investors. Some of the investors did get properties back, but they were like condemned buildings. Most of the people got absolutely nothing, or they got back property that did not have a clear title. This is really sad because y'all know that as a title attorney, how important clear title is for me. You know, you're doing any kind of real estate deal, you know, take it to your own attorney and let them take a look at it. For crying out loud, it doesn't cost very much money and it's worth it. Now, all of the earlier investors who were typically paid off, it's the later investors, like the newer money, that got caught up in this Ponzi scheme. So small payments were also used during this time where, let's say somebody invested like $35,000, they would give like a $2,000 or a $5,000 payment to that investor every once in a while just to keep them quiet, because they did not want them to get mad that they were not getting their money back and then turn them in. But that's exactly what happened. Eventually, these people were turned into the FBI and they went down for their crimes. So let me give you a quote from the DOJ directly from the complaint. It says they misled and lied to investors, using that money to fund their own lavish lifestyles. Anytime you see somebody who's just flossing a little too much online, you know, they got them get ready with me's in the morning. They're a real estate investor, but, you know, spend a day with me. I mean, that is the kind of like disgusting, completely narcissistic, entitled behavior that is going to be a signpost for you. It should be a huge red flag, a neon sign that says, this person is not legitimate. Okay? A huge sign. I mean, it's like one of the first things that you should do is go visit someone's Instagram page. But unfortunately, they were able to scam over 1,000 people out of their money. And in fact, let me give you an example of one person. His name was Benjamin Nelson. Benjamin was a Drexel undergrad. He put $20,000 of his money and he got completely ghosted by the Parkers. Not a text back, not a message back. I'm going to tell you something. Anytime I'm working a real estate deal and I have anybody in that deal tell me, oh, I put my money in, but I don't know when I'm going to get paid because so-and-so ghosted me. They haven't messaged me back in a few weeks. They won't answer me. I ask them for documentation. They won't share it with me. That's a huge red flag for me. It's a clue that I am dealing with somebody who is predatory in nature and maybe taking advantage of people. And it's going to trigger me to do a little more due diligence. Now, one of the things that I just respect this young man so much is that he messaged back Big Business and he said, playing with someone's hard-earned money is the worst thing you can do. And you know what, Benjamin, I completely agree with you. And it happens worse when it's people who don't have that money. You know, it's one thing if you got $1 million and you throw $20,000 at something, but when $20,000 is all that person has and you take it from them so that you can make 1 month's payment on your cars, It's disgusting. And it's criminal, illegal behavior. These people absolutely deserve to be investigated, arrested, and indicted by the FBI. And thank goodness to the Department of Justice for stepping in and putting a stop to this particular Ponzi scheme. But I want all of my listeners out there to know that real estate can be a wonderful, lucrative business. I love real estate. And that is the reason why it makes me so angry when I hear of people coming in and taking advantage of people in these schemes. And when I start going over the numbers, we come back from the break, I'm going to go down through a few statistics with you. And when you hear these statistics of who gets scammed and for how much money, it's going to make you as mad as it does me. You're listening to The Real Deal on Super Talk. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to pick up this story right back up.